Welcome to Yellow Cardinal Tarot. My name is Carol, and this is your intuitive daily tarot. And I'm going to be doing a 3-card spread for you. In the first position, I'm going to be looking at what situation, what issue you're dealing with, whether it's a struggle with a particular person in your life, particular situation, whether it's a pattern that keeps showing up for you. And then in the second spot, I want to look at what needs healing. You know, what's having an impact on this situation that you're sitting in. So what we're going to be doing here is really taking a look at your shadow and what's coming up for healing. And so we're going to be doing some shadow work in the second part. And if you're not familiar with shadow or shadow work, I've left a video in the description box below, and that'll really help you out with how to get started on your healing journey. And finally, we're going to be looking at some guidance from the tarot, and that'll really set you off, you know, and a start into how you can deal with the situation you're in. So I'm going to get started with the Rider-Waite deck here, and I'm going to pull. I'm going to ask the tarot to give me one card for each section. So, excuse me, if the tarot can give me one card for the issue or the situation that you're in right now. What issue or situation are you in right now? 2 cards showed up. I just want one card, please. There we go. We have the Magician in reverse for you as your first card. The situation, what's going on with you right now. And what's coming up in your shadow that needs healing, that's having an impact on this situation. That one wanted to pop out. The Knight of Cups is coming up in your shadow. And finally, guidance from the tarot, please. Guidance from the tarot. One card. Just want one card, please. Got 3 there. One card. Ooh, too many. Sometimes when I'm a bit too aggressive with these cards, oh, here we go. I get angry a little bit and then it comes out. The World in reverse is your guidance from the tarot. All right, we're going to be using the Light Seer's Tarot to clarify these cards, and I'll ask for 3 cards, no more, for each section. Otherwise, I could be here all day, and you've got all day to get going on whatever you got to do. So I try to keep it, you know, close to 15, 20 minutes sometimes, and it just goes over. So I try not to ramble too much. All right, so I'm going to ask the tarot for 3 cards for the Magician, please. All right, we got our first card here, which is the Devil. The Devil coming out for you with the Magician. Interesting combination here. 2 major arcana for you. 2 universal forces coming out. 2 more cards. 2 more cards here. We have the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. And one more. Oh, we got too many here. One more card. The 5 of Cups. The 5 of Cups. All right. Okay. Push those over just a touch. Can I have 3 cards, please, for this Knight of Cups to clarify this Knight of Cups? 3 cards, please. I have 2, so I'll take the Page of Cups and the Chariot. Beautiful Chariot card. Love this deck. And one more card for this Knight of Cups, please. Just one more. All right, we have the Wheel, and it looked like it wanted to come out in reverse here. So I'm going to put in reverse the Wheel. The Wheel. The World card, please. 3 cards for the World. 15 cards will not do. 3 cards, please, for the world. I'm just going to straighten those out so it looks just a little bit better on this camera here. Okay, 3 cards for the world, please. 1 card wanted to pop out here. The King of Wands in reverse. King of Wands in reverse. 2 more cards, please, for this world card. Guidance from the tarot. 2 more cards, please. Make them very good cards. I say that and then I won't get them. All right, 2 more cards, please. All right, I have one that's flung out. Let me see what it is. On the floor, the Emperor wanted to come out. The Emperor wanted to come out. Very strong card, major arcana card for you. Lots of arcana. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wow, that's a lot. Which means, you know, it's a powerful reading. Lots of, you know, universal forces coming in for you in this reading. And we have another one, and the Empress card coming out here. And she was sort of in reverse, so I'll put her in reverse here, the Empress card. So good reading here for you today. Powerful stuff going on. All right, the Magician is coming out for you in the situation, issue that you're dealing with as a first card right here. And it's in reverse. And let's look at this card in an upright position first of all. This Magician has everything. Everything at their disposal. It has the 4 elements here on the table, if you can see. It has the Pentacle, the Wand, the Sword, and the Cup. Has all the 4 elements here, right, that represent our spiritual bodies, our 4 bodies, spiritual, emotional, physical body, and our mental body. These 4 spiritual bodies here, 4 elements of the tarot on the table. Everything at their disposal. Now look closely at the Magician, because it has the lemniscate here, the infinity sign on his head. And that means, you know, that's just a sign of, you know, infinite possibilities out there for us for manifestation. He is known as the master manifester, right? He can make anything, make anything come into being. And I find that that word manifest or manifestation is really overused, but I do use it when referring to him for sure. I mean, he is the master manifester for one reason only, in that he is grounding himself. So he's acting like this lightning rod here because he's pointing his wand up in the air, and he's using divine power. You want to call it universal power, God power, creator power, source power, whatever you want. But he's taking it and he's grounding it back into the earth. He doesn't hold on to his power. He's going to use it for good of all, for the good of all, but he's not going to hold on to it, right? Like in a selfish way. And this card comes up for you to say that, and especially on the healing journey, and we're all on this journey of life, and we're all here to heal our stuff. Whether or not you've come to this channel, you know, maybe you're come to it for a different reason. You might have clicked off as soon as I said the word healing, but we all are on this healing journey. And what he says to us in an upright position is that you have everything in you. You have everything at your disposal that you need. Your own inner guidance, right? Your own intuition to make your own decisions. And that was something that was told to me at the beginning of my own journey several years ago, and I didn't want to hear that. I was so used to having other people around me control me and make my decisions that when it came time for me to have to make my own decisions, I froze. I really froze. And so this is in reverse for you. And so what I'm seeing here is that there's a real resistance on your part that you're sitting with right now. And maybe you're having to make a decision, and maybe you're you're stuck in some of your emotions here that I'm seeing here just by looking at your other 3 cards for clarifiers, that you are sitting in a position where you don't see a way out. You don't believe that you have the power that you're able to get out of your situation right now. And this Magician card is saying you have everything. You have everything in you. And believe me, I know, because I've been through some really tough times. And I've had to make decisions on my own where I didn't want to, where I did not feel like I had everything in me. But you do. You have, everyone has this inner guidance, this inner power in them to make their own decisions and to get themselves out of something. The Devil card comes in and explains a lot where we're sitting here. So the Devil card to me talks about those things that really attract us and really allow us to numb out on our pain, right? It could be anything from, we can get on our phone and scroll through the social media stuff, or we can be addicted to, alcohol, drugs. There's so many things that we can be addicted to, like something like running we can be addicted to, believe it or not. So we can take anything and make it an addiction. If it's going to help us numb our pain, then we'll grab at that. And so this is I think that you're sitting in a situation where you are sitting with, or you could have one or two more addictions where you are numbing out your pain because you don't see a way out. And so what we do sometimes is we take on our addictions so we don't have to deal with that pain of I can't get out of this situation, but you can. The Queen of Pentacles comes up next, and she's in reverse. And Pentacles, first of all, they're all about, the body, getting back into our body, getting out of our heads, where we make all our decisions, where we can stir and spin and start to do some real breathing. Pay attention to our breathing and just get in touch with what's in our body. What do we need to feel? Because the queens in my deck are all about that feminine side of us. And we all have a feminine side. We all have a masculine side. It doesn't matter your gender. We all have it. We can lean towards one or the other. But we need to get back to the queen. We need to get back to the feminine part of us that really, wants us to get back into our bodies, wants us to start to get to our truth, our authenticity, who we are. And we do that by starting to feel some of these emotions that we're numbing out on. And that's what she wants to do here. Now, when the queen is in reverse for me, and especially because she's that queen that wants us to get back into our bodies, and I'm feeling that there is some real hopelessness on your part, and the Five of Cups comes up for me right after that. There's some real hopelessness you're feeling. You may be sitting with some depression right now. And that's why we numb out, because that shit feels terrible. That hopelessness feeling, where you're seeing no way out. And this is what the Five of Cups is. And the Five of Cups is when we really focus on, these three cups right here that have been spilt, and we get stuck. We get stuck in this hopelessness, stuck in our depression, and think that there's absolutely no way out. And we focus on that, and we just can't see these other two cups. We can't. And so what we're going to do is we're going to look at the situation here that you're sitting in right now where you're numbing out because you can't even, when you're in that situation where you're feeling so hopeless and feeling depressed, you can't see that you have this inner guidance. I mean, you don't want to do anything, let's face it. When I get in that, I call it futility. When I get in that space where I'm stuck on my couch or stuck in my bed or just can't get up in the morning, because life is really too much. It's heavy. It feels really heavy, and I see no point, right? Why bother? Why bother getting up? Why? And that's how you feel in that space. And so what's coming up right now in your shadow for you to heal this hopelessness that you're sitting in right now? The Knight of Cups comes up, and that's your first card. That's your sort of your main card here. And the Knight of Cups is all my knights are, I call them my freedom fighters. They're the ones that are fighting for freedom, fighting for authenticity. They're like an adolescent part of us that wants, think of an adolescent. They just want to be authentic. They want to be themselves. They want to do what they want to do. They want the freedom to go out and, feel, like be really authentic in their feelings And, you know, sometimes they get shut down. And so this Knight of Cups is coming out right here because there is this real sense of like this real part of you in your shadow that wants to be free to feel those emotions like grief, to feel those emotions like joy. Like, if you think about it, a lot of us just can't feel the joy. I mean, right now, if you're sitting in this depressive state, there's no way you can reach the joy. But there's a part of you inside that wants that freedom to be able to feel that joy again. And to grieve. And to grieve what it is that you've lost from your childhood. You know, and this is why this depression comes up a lot of times, where we feel like it's about now. We feel like we're sitting in this shit and it's about our life right now, but it's not. Our depression and our futility, the hopelessness that we feel, is about, you know, our childhood. And it's like a flashback that we're living in right now. And we have to bring an awareness to that. As an adult, we have to be able to bring awareness to that this hopelessness that we're living in, that we're sitting in, that's the first step here. To be able to realize that, you know, it's not about our life now. Yeah, there might be something that's a bit of a struggle or situation you're sitting in, but you're an adult now. You have the tools, you know. This magician comes out here and he says, you have the tools. You can deal with it now. When you were a child, you could not deal with it. You didn't have the tools. You didn't have the support. But there's a part of you right now that is just dying to get free right now, and to be able to feel that joy again, and grief and those emotions that you need to feel to get yourself out of this. The Page of Cups is backing it up, and the Page of Cups, well, I don't make up this shit. I don't. Like, when I deal these cards, and it's amazing what comes out. The Page of Cups is our inner child. This is a child of yours, and you've probably heard of inner children. It's a child about 4, 5, 6 years old that's dying inside of us, that wants our attention, wants our love right now. And it's the cups, full of emotion. And our inner children are very much wanting to grieve, very much want to feel the joy. And so I see here that, you know, you've got some grieving. Your shadow is saying you want the freedom. There's this real freedom here that wants to bring to you to be able to grieve. And the Chariot comes up too, that the Chariot says, you know, usually the Chariot is about our ego and our ego self, where the ego self has kind of drives us, drives everything, you know, runs these, like, using our willpower, we can, you know, focus on these horses, and they're going to go in the direction that we want them to go to. But if you don't have any reins on these horses, you know, we can really try to keep control for so long over these horses, but eventually they're not going to go in the right, you know, the right way. If you can see right here, this black horse is going in a different direction here. And so I'm seeing here that, you know, there's a real part of you that's trying to keep control over this younger child of yours, trying to push it down because you don't want to feel what your younger child needs to feel. You don't want to feel what you needed to feel when you were younger, you know, those feelings of grief, and when you weren't allowed to be authentic. And now is the time, and that's what's going to bring you through. Once you start feeling, you know, it's going to bring you through what you need to go through in order to get back to seeing some joy in your life. And the wheel here finally says, you know, the wheel of fortune is in an upright position. It's a change of circumstance, you know, life is like that. You have these ebbs and these flows, and we need to learn how to kind of go with them, right? And realize that, okay, right now you're sitting in you're sitting in some sort of a dip here where you're really feeling discouraged, hopeless, depressed. And that's what happens with the wheel, you know, it goes up and it goes down and we get stuck in the bottom and we think we're never going to see our way out. But in order to get this wheel to get going again, because it's stuck, it's not turning here. And that's why it's in reverse. And the only thing that's going to do it is when you start to get in touch with your inner child, you know, start to ground, start to sense your breathing, start to listen to your breathing, and just to get still and start to feel what your younger child needed to feel when they were younger. And finally, the guidance from the tarot says, well, here's the World card. The World card is in an upright position. Is when we really start becoming aware, when we really start to develop this awareness, this self-awareness of ourselves, right? This presence, and it's in reverse here. So what I'm seeing is here, the guidance from the tarot is saying that, you know, the first step for you is to develop this awareness that when you're sitting in this depressive state, and it's really hard to see it when you're in it, but when you're sitting in it, the first thing you need to do is develop this awareness that this is not happening to me now. This hopelessness, this horrible situation that I'm sitting in right now is a flashback. And that is the first thing you need to tell yourself. It's not about now. It's about your younger child when you were younger, and that's how they felt, and they want to get in touch with you. They need to heal. The King of Wands is the next one that comes up, and my kings are the masculine side of us. They're our ego self, And the King of Wands is about, in an upright position, they're all about, you know, taking your life in a new direction. It's all about creativity, all about our authenticity. And the tarot wants to provide the guidance for you, wants to take your life in this new direction so you can get that wheel turning again. And this, your ego self, and you have to be very, very, you know, you have to make yourself aware that my mental thoughts are controlling me right now. And there comes a point where you have to stop listening to these mental thoughts, because your mental thoughts are not you. Your thoughts in your head have been what has been driving you so far, and they're not you. And that's what's keeping you in this depressive state right now. The Emperor comes up, and sometimes, you know, the Emperor, he's the guy that has all the rules. He's the guy that has all the rules of society. He's the one that tells us what we should and shouldn't do. And I'm sure that, you know, there's a big part of you that just has a hard time believing what I'm saying right now. If you haven't clicked off the video right now, saying that, you know, what you're sitting is not about now. Because society really comes in, our mainstream psychology doesn't really help us a lot, right? Because a lot of times we're given, and I'm not saying anything good or bad, but a lot of times we're given different ways to handle our depression. And sometimes we're even given some pills to help us out with it. And sometimes we do need it. But I think it comes a point when, you know, sometimes society will tell us that depression is a state that we just have to learn to live with and learn to manage. It's not something that you're supposed to be sitting in. Emotions are meant to flow, right? This wheel is supposed to meant to turn. Emotions come in and they come out. We're not supposed to get stuck on them and hold on to them and take ownership of them. We're supposed to feel them. And finally, the last card that comes in is the Empress. This is the Major Arcana card. Universal force coming in here. She's our feminine. There's two feminine parts to the Major Arcana. One is the High Priestess, which is number 2. She comes before the Empress. She talks about our intuition and our inner guidance that we have. This particular card, the Empress, talks about, you know, our creativity, fertility, being very receptive, being very open, very, very open to feeling. She's all about emotion. And she's in reverse here. And when she's in reverse, she's sitting in a lot of hopelessness because she wants to feel. It's so important that we feel our way through our hopelessness just to get at those emotions, like I said. And so what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to leave you a playlist on, I think I'm gonna recommend some journaling for you. And that is really the only way that I get out of my own hopelessness, is to journal from, writing prompts like, what's the point? Why bother? And from those raw feelings, I write out all my emotions of what I'm feeling, in my futility. And it's hard because when you're in futility, you just don't want to do anything. But there is one thing I will make myself do, and that is my journaling. So I'll give you some videos on journaling from your depression. All right, so take care, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.